It's partly cloudy in San Francisco, so let's head to the sunny side.
Grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worry on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Keep your gait a bit pat, and your troubles with no slow step. Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street.
Yeah, we got a good show for you today. Again, every show's a good show here on Sunnyside. Dr. Science answering questions from the audience of the Michigan State Legislature. A coffee story, a new series, new comedy. TikTok today, and Sterling Dalzell starring Mr. Jim Turner. Yeah.
I used to walk in the shade with those blues on parade, but I'm not afraid. This rover crossed over. Grab your coat and get your hat. Leave your worry on the doorstep. Just direct your feet to the sunny side of the street. Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street.
Yeah. Third show. This is the third show. This is really fun. I get up and I go, okay, I'm going to do a show, and it's going to be the first thing in the morning, and I do it, and then I did something, and so yay. The rest of the day is like, well, I do more stuff for the rest of the day, but I don't have to because I did this. So let's get to the comedy. Queen of the world. What's the joke today, Queen? Why did the chicken cross the road? Well, I don't know. Why did the chicken cross the road? To get to the other side. You know, that's a pretty old joke, Queen. I know, but it's still good. It's great. It's a great joke. Yeah, she's right. I think that's maybe one of the first jokes everybody's heard in their life. Okay, we're going to start with a Duck's Breath Mystery Theater video from the Sunnyside YouTube Duck's Breath Mystery Theater playlist up there on Sunnyside. Go to Sunnyside. You can see Duck's Breath for days. Well, not for days, 40 videos. And this is a Dr. Science and Rodney, that's Dan Coffey and Merle Kessler, answering questions from an audience of the Michigan State Legislature at a point, in a transitional point with Dr. Science, because Dr. Science started out as a radio show, and it went like to lots and lots of public radio stations. I think at one point it was being carried by like 300 public radio stations. But we're trying to figure out a way to get it into the show, and somebody had an idea. It was probably me. No, that's what's so great about Duck's Breath. Nobody knows where anything came from because it was all just, oh, put it up, here we go. So said, hey, let's have the audience ask questions when they come in. We'll have pieces of paper out for people to ask questions. And then at the intermission, Dan and Merle will write the answers. And that's what we did for a long time. And but then it turned out that they didn't need to do that. That all they need to do is get up there and point at people, and they ask questions. And Dan and Merle are so good that, in fact, you can see that in the grand finale. That's another playlist on Sunnyside YouTube. You can see him answering live questions, really, just picking people out. And no plans, just, whoever raised their hands, they point to it. But at this point, what we're going to see is them answering questions they wrote at Intermission.
Our first question is from Poki Yakoka from Account Executive, Michigan, who writes, Dear Dr. Science, why is the state of Michigan shaped like a hand?
When the great scientist made the world, he had to place his hand on it to keep it from wobbling. The spot at which he touched it became scorched from the immense energy emanating from his palm. Fortunately, he was wearing asbestos gloves at the time, otherwise Michigan would be the twin of Arizona. And we should be thankful he didn't step on the globe at this point, otherwise we'd all be speaking Italian.
Thank you, Dr. Science. Coach Sparky, writing from Lakeland, Florida. Dear Dr. Science, what was the world like before lawyers? Were people nicer to each other back then?
No, people haven't changed much in the 3 million years they've been around, but lawyers have. There have always been lawyers, but there always haven't been so many lawyers. Time was people wandered from place to place, picking berries and nuts and killing squirrels and rabbits. Then somebody invented agriculture. That led to private property, and that's where the lawyers got involved. If we could only go back to our nomadic berry picking days, we'd turn a bunch of barristers into berry pickers, and a whole class of people would finally find out what it's like to work for a living.
Thank you, Dr. Science. Tony Dow from Midland, who writes, Dear Dr. Science, why won't my car start in the winter?
It's probably mosquito eggs clogging your fuel line. Mosquitoes are always looking for a warm place to spend the winter, and they generally wind up in your fuel line. Not the warmest place in the world, but mosquitoes aren't the brightest creatures in the world. All they do is suck blood and die. I don't consider that intelligent behavior. The high-pitched whine your engine makes when you try to start it is the cry of pain of mosquito babies. If you have no sympathy for insect infants, by all means, keep turning the engine over. If, however, you're the bleeding heart liberal type, you might want to take a cab to work, or better still, stay home until this whole winter thing blows over.
Thank you, Dr. Science. Send your science questions to Ask Dr. Science. Remember, he's not a real doctor.
I have a master's degree
In science. Bye, kids.
Stay in school.
Yeah, that was fun. I really, I'm amazed. I can never write that fast. And they wrote all that in the Intermission. And not only that, I realized the reason I could never do it is I can't write clear enough. Because Merle, Dan could read his own writing, but he had to read Merle's writing too, which Merle had to write clear. I just thought that up. I don't know why I was telling you that. Okay, more Dan Coffey. This is a big Dan Coffey show because this is new comedy. The goal of this show is to promote the archive with we have like 350 videos, comedy videos up on Sunnyside YouTube. Check out. But new comedy to develop new stuff. And because that's why you do it. You do it to do new stuff. Everybody that works in comedy knows that. You're always, come on, right? That's the fun. That's the thing that gets you. So Dan, I said to Dan, hey, could you write pick images, pictures, and write some stories? And he said he would. And so that's now a Tuesday feature. And we're going to see his first story right now.
She really is an easygoing person, one who looks on the brighter side of things and is always hoping to pitch in and help. But then she falls into these moods and it all changes. We can only hope that she gets back on her meds and resumes being a delight to be around.
Okay, so at some point, not now, but at some point, we're going to start saying, okay, suggestions for how to develop that. Maybe not. I don't know. It's an idea. It's still lots of ideas this morning. All right, let's see what else we got here on the old agenda. So I'm addicted to TikTok. And I've decided that every one of these shows, all 65 shows, well, 64, because tomorrow we're doing something special. Mr. Tolstar's Neighborhood Tomorrow takes up the whole show. And it's good. That's tomorrow. But today, I want to talk about, I can't believe how cool it is. How fun it is to be watching TikToks, which is never boring. You never know what's going to happen. And there'll be a Family Guy, and then there'll be this history thing about like how the Romans, the equipment they used, and they'll have specific examples. And it's like, I had a really good history teacher once, and he just brought history to life. And these are all really good history teachers. The stories are great. It's like, like I'm there, you know, with the Spartans and the Athenians fighting each other with the, and I forget the name of the spear, you know, just like I learned it for the test of history, but still the moment that it happens when I watch a TikTok is just amazing. And I never know. I'm going to learn about World War II today and about cavemen the next day. All right. Okay. So this is the feature of the show, and this is Sterling Dalzell featuring Jim Turner, scripts written by Merle Kessler. And man, okay, this is my idea of good stuff.
Here's a sample of Sterling Dalzell and mind-boggling conversations you can have with him. These are taken from his program, which is a talk show.
I am on the satellite.
Here you go.
There's a flashlight the government doesn't want you to have. I've gotten emails from the company that makes them. And you wouldn't think that that would be a selling point. Well, the government doesn't want me to have this flashlight. Oh, must be something wrong with it, something very wrong, because the government only wants what's best for us, right? They gave us Jeeps and the internet and freeze-dried astronaut snacks. They invented Tang and progress reports. Well, I hate to break it to you folks, but they only make the good stuff for the military. They want soldiers to have the best. But if you're a senator, you have to depend on gifts from the private sector if you want to get by. So soldiers are our friends. If we want them to fight our enemies overseas or help build a wall here in our beleaguered country, so we give them rifles that don't rust in the jungle or jam in the mud or overheat in the desert. I am being sarcastic. Our weaponry is sad, so I'm told. Outmoded as soon as it's issued. The trouble is we don't have an Apple-type company on top of weapon development. They need to be like smartphones, really complicated to use, but they tell you where you are, what time it is, send an email, take or make a call, locate and order a pizza, and eliminate an enemy with deadly force and accuracy from 4 blocks away. If you lose your weapon, an automated artificial intelligence will call for you plaintively by name until you find it. But we don't have that. Sleek, highly efficient machines that need to be thrown away every 2 years and purchased anew. Fine for telephones, but not for semi-automatic weapons, it seems. But we do have flashlights, terrifying in their glare, in the grandeur of their candle power. These flashlights can blind you. They require special training, medical supervision, special glasses for the user to prevent accidents. These flashlights are actually more powerful than lasers. They can bring down planes. Soldiers are given weapons that just fall to pieces when they try to bring down a terrorist, which we can't even call a terrorist anymore, thanks, Obama. So they have to fall back on these powerful flashlights. If 12 soldiers use their flashlights together, the thing they are pointing the flashlight at will vanish in a burst of light hotter than a dozen suns. That's why they don't want us to have them. They're being saved for the shadow warriors to be used on us before we use them on them. The resistance is willing, but who knows how much longer we will even be able to buy these flashlights, or how much longer Walgreens will carry the batteries, Nicodium Slenders. Only available behind the counter. You can't ask for them by name. You need to know the password.
So what is the password?
I don't know. It varies from store to store. You can order them.
From the dark web?
I think Amazon has them.
Amazon. Writing this down.
The Def 3 Gigatron Ultra.
Okay.
Be sure the compartment is empty before you turn it on, and don't point it at your eyes.
Only at the shadow people.
Yes, or the reptoids. Either one. God, where was I?
Well, I think that's about it, Sterling.
All right, then. Pancakes at Winky's. Here I come.
It's a talk show. Join the fun. Enter the longitude and latitude of your digital device. Make sure your mic is working. Webcam, if you got it, speakers on, choose a username and password, also product code, lowercase HRDUFF, uppercase Q, 317, uppercase M, ampersand, asterisk, comma. Hit send. You're golden. You're good to go.
Good stuff. That was Merle Kessler, being Sterling's engineer, who also writes that series. And every Wednesday, Sterling will be with us every Wednesday, and I hope you will too. Man, this was a fun show. But it looks like our time is closing in to being over. If I hit the buttons correctly, I stop there, and I hit there, and I say goodbye.